Hello everyone and welcome to Applications Manager's free training series. So let me walk you through the agenda for today. In part 1, we'll be looking at how you can measure the website performance and changes in real time. In part 2, you will be looking at how you can identify and address possible issues that might impact users using synthetic monitoring. In part 3, we'll be looking at how you can gain insights into front-end performance by analyzing real user behavior patterns. And in part 4, we'll be looking at how you can enhance the page performance to safeguard your brand reputation. So moving on to today's topic, how to deliver seamless customer experience. So why are we discussing this? In the digital era, most enterprises use a web platform to reach potential customers and showcase the products or solutions they offer. Websites have become extremely popular as a medium of establishing a brand image, and they contribute to making a major share of revenue. Well planned websites can capture the attention of the target audience, increasing the probability of them turning into valuable paying customers. Whether you deliver a smooth user experience of your customers or not depends on the performance of your website. So first, let us see how we can effectively evaluate and track the availability and performance of websites. So according to an article published in browserstack.com, 47% of consumers expect a web page to load in 2 seconds or less. 40% of people abandon a website that takes more than 3 seconds to load. And a 1 second delay in page response can cause 7% reduction in conversions. If your website is unavailable or has poor responsiveness, end users won't be able to engage with your website's pages or wouldn't want to wait for them to load, which can have a significant impact on your business's reputation. Therefore, to ensure the effectiveness of your site, avoid any performance hiccups, and create a seamless digital experience for users, website performance monitoring is essential. Not only does it provide insight into your website's availability, but also gives you an understanding of critical metrics on your website so that you can work on improving its reliability and making it work optimally. So the first step in digital experience is the interaction that the user has with the website. So when the user tries to access it, it needs to be available. Website slowness and downtime are major causes of concern for businesses. Frequent downtimes and slowness can make your site lose credibility among loyal customers, as well as create bad first impression on first-time customers. So what causes a website to have a downtime and to have slowness? First one, we have scheduled maintenance. A scheduled maintenance is a temporary period in which a site or an app is made offline for updates, backups, or maintenance. Data center problems or internal server errors. If there's a data center problem or a server error, the request from the user may not even reach the server. Bugs in code. These bugs may cause errors and prevent the site from not loading and might cause slowed loading. High traffic. If too many people are trying to access the website at the same time, it may not be able to handle the load. Hacking attempts. Hackers trying to pull any suspicious activities on your sites can cause it to slow down or go down. And SSL certificate expiry. If your certificates expire and you do not become aware of it or renew the certificate, it can cause website slowness. Ensure a 24/7 availability. This acts as a continuous URL monitoring service that keeps constant watch over a specific URL or web page. It helps verify the availability of specified addressable standard HTTP and HTTPS URLs. Get instant notifications whenever your site is down. You can use it to easily monitor your site's availability to get instant notifications whenever your website goes down. Recheck the website status to identify and eliminate false positives. You can even recheck the website status to identify and eliminate false positives. Everybody loves a fast website. With improvements in broadband speeds and the advent of super fast websites, user expectations about website speeds have changed. But The response time of a website determines the speed of the website. Response time is how long it takes for your website or the web server to connect and send data packets to the browser of an end user. Applications Manager's URL Monitor tracks down your website's response time along with split-ups such as DNS time, first byte time, and last byte time. First byte time is the time it takes for a browser to receive the first byte of response from a web server, meaning it's a very strong indication of how your website is performing for that user. You also get the root cause diagnosis for quicker troubleshooting. This helps you troubleshoot issues and reduce MTTR. You can also have content checks to ensure the availability of URLs. So let me show you how you can add a URL monitor. So this is how the UI looks like. In order to add a URL monitor, go to New Monitor and add New Monitor. Under Add New Monitor, click on Web Services or Servers. Here you will be able to see all the web server and services. Click on URL monitor, HTTP URLs. Give it a display name. Add a URL address. Specify the polling interval and timeout. You can also give HTTP configuration such as the form submission method, whether it's the post or get. If it's the post form, the payload type should be specified, whether it's form, text, XML, or JSON. If it's the get, you don't have to specify anything. You need to specify, if you have any request parameters, you can specify it here. And here you need to specify the authentication if it's required. You can use the below credential. If you check the below credential, you need to specify the username and password. If you've already given the credentials, you can select it from a credential list. Since I haven't, it specifies it as no credentials. You can also use the SAML ADFS authentication method. Since I don't have any, you can add a new SAML ADFS method. So here you need to specify the display name, the redirect URL, form submission method, the custom HTTP headers, and the SSL version. For this Active Directory Federation services details, you need to specify the sign-in URL, the ADFS or user credential, the username's identifier, password, and the response binding type. Click on Save and you will add the SAML configuration. You will also need to specify whether you need to generate an error if the response code is equal to or greater than a specified number. You can also specify the user agents and the SSL version here. If you need a client certificate authentication, you can check this box and upload a client certificate with the password. You can also check the content to ensure the availability of the website. After you've added all this, click on Add URL Monitor. So after you've added the monitor, you can go to monitors. You can go to monitors and under web server and services, you'll be able to find it in the HTTP URLs. Here, click on any of the URLs listed. And here you will be able to monitor the response time split up, and the page size. Under response time split up, you have the split up of DNS time, first byte time, connection time, and last byte time. You also have the average response time and the current response time. You can also monitor the availability over here. So in order to add a HTTP URL sequence, go to New Monitor, Add New Monitor, and under Add New Monitor, click on the HTTP URL sequence. Here you can either import a HAR file or use a web transaction recorder. So in order to generate a HAR file, it's pretty simple. You just have to click on page source I'm sorry, you need to click on inspect, and under network, you need to start recording. Since it's already recording, you'll be able to see it. So you need to check the preserve log box in order to download the hard file. So all the transactions will be recorded here. And after you've recorded it, stop it and export the hard file, download it, and save it. So after saving it, you can import the hard file. So give it a display name, choose the file from your hard. So after that, you upload it. And after you've uploaded it, you can give the basic details such as the URL, name, headers, etc. For advanced settings, you can give it an alert configuration wherein you can generate an alert if following keywords are present or absent. You can also specify the authentication and response code configuration and click on Add Monitor. After you've added the monitor, you can go to Monitors and URL sequence, record and playback. Here, you will be able to monitor the information such as the sequences performed in the specific time. So inside the sequence, you will be able to view the details for each of the URL. So this is the URL monitor wherein you will be able to monitor the response time and split up, which is the same as the URL monitor. And you can also monitor the total response time for the whole of the URL sequence. You can also monitor the response time split up for the same and the response time of individual URLs. That is it about URL monitor and HTTP URL sequence monitor. Moving on to part 2, how you can identify and address possible issues that might impact users using synthetic monitoring. Like I was saying earlier, in today's age of instant gratifications, end users expect to be able to enjoy a seamless, issue-free experience on your website. Although monitoring the website availability and response time gives you a fair idea of whether your website is up and running or not, you can't know if your users are able to perform transactions without fail unless you understand the website's end user experience. This is where you need to use synthetic monitoring techniques. Here are some of the things that it helps us to do. So you can analyze the website performance from an end user perspective, since it involves analyzing and simulating the end user's experiences, which will help you identify issues that might otherwise go unnoticed. Synthetic monitoring lets you record complex workflows to keep an eye on important transactions taking place on your website so that you will be able to test the performance of critical user paths on your website. You can also dynamically track the website's availability and performance from an end user's location. So one of the main advantages is that it can track the availability and performance from your user's location using end user monitors. And you can also ensure that your website is meeting your business objectives and service level agreements. Meeting SLAs can be important because if many business owners have an agreement, and if you do not meet those service level agreements, it can cause a strain on the relationship between the customer and the business or between businesses. So this provides a line of sight on service level agreements. So let us see how Applications Manager's real browser monitoring facilitates synthetic transaction monitoring. Applications Manager's synthetic transaction monitoring feature, which is also known as the real browser monitor in Applications Manager, opens up an actual browser like Firefox from multiple locations and tracks how many elements in your website load from that location, and more specifically, the way your users view them. So what can you do with Applications Manager's real browser monitor? You can simulate business critical processes via Selenium based scripting of tests. So the first step involves a web transaction recorder in which you can record critical transaction. Every action that we perform while recording, be it hovering, clicking, or uh, or double clicking, it will be saved in a Selenium based script file. So you can also run checks from real browsers such as Chrome or Firefox. Applications Manager then opens up a real browser in which it plays the recorded transaction again to identify if any error occurs. During the playback, data collection takes place and all performance metrics are then published on the monitor dashboard. You can take screenshots for reference when there are errors. It also lets you take any screenshots during the playback, and you can test it from multiple locations. To facilitate the monitoring in multiple locations, we make of end user monitoring agents, as I mentioned before. So let us say you are hosting an event in your office and you've created a registration form for the same. All employees need to register for the event, which means that employees from all your branch office should be able to do so without any hassle. To test this critical flow of filling the form and successfully registering for the event, you can use Applications Manager's real browser monitoring. For that, first you'll need to install EUM agents in all your branch offices, and then you can record the transaction of filling and registering from your main office. The same transaction will also be performed in all your branch offices using these EUM agents that will then send the data to Applications Manager. This way, you can check if the workflow functions without any error in all the desired locations. Applications Managers end user monitoring agents basically provide greater visibility into the user experience and help detect potential performance problems with ease. The EUM agents can be installed in multiple branch offices in different cities or in the systems of your end users. All you need is a secure HTTPS connection between the agent and Applications Manager server. So let me show you how you can record a transaction. So first you'll need to download the Web Transactions Recorder Chrome extension. So when you've downloaded it, you'll need to specify the username, the port, and also the API key. I'll show you how you can get the API key. In order to get the API key, you need to go to your Applications Manager's main UI, click on Settings, and in Settings, click on REST API. And REST API, you'll be able to see the API key for all the add-ons. So here you'll need to give the API key for Applications Manager. Just copy this and paste it. So when you paste it, you'll be able to record a new transaction. So here, specify any URL and click on Start Recording. So it'll take you to the URL where you can perform actions such as clicking or hovering or double clicking or anything. So I'm clicking on a few pages. So after you've done all those, you can stop recording and you can play back and save. So when you've clicked on that, you'll be able to view all these preferences and you'll be able to save the monitor. After you've saved the monitor, you can view it in your monitor section. So under monitors, you'll be able to view it under real browser monitoring. Here, you can see the whole test. So if you've employed any use of EUM agents, you can see it there. So since you already have one, you'll be able to see the average page load time, the transaction time, the page load time of steps, such as clicking or hovering. And also you'll be able to see the screenshots for the same. You'll also be able to see the resources as well. So that is it about real browser monitoring or synthetic transaction monitoring. So what are the synthetic transaction monitoring use cases? So with the help of synthetic transaction monitoring, you can compare your performance to your competition. You can set up benchmark scenarios and see how your applications are performing over time. And you can also benchmark your company's performance against top competitors within a certain historical time frame or within a specific geographic location. This approach will help you establish a strategic outlook and preserve the competitive advantage in the marketplace. You can test out new features. Testing is an important and an early stage of application development. Synthetic monitoring provides a set of baselines and thresholds that will pinpoint any obstacles one is likely to face using the application in real time. Measuring or assessing the performance of third-party applications. Today's websites increasingly relies on third-party features such as cards, ads, customer reviews, web analytics, social networking, SEO add-ons, video, and much more to provide an outstanding customer experience. If there's a weak link in the chain, one or more of these elements are not working correctly, it can adversely impact your site. Synthetic transaction monitoring can greatly assist in helping to monitor your third-party applications while also alerting you to potential of performance degradations and downtime impacts. This tremendously helps in providing a line of sight on your service level agreements in order to hold the third-party vendors accountable. And finally, you can find the issues before the customers do. Synthetic monitoring helps you set baseline tests in order to measure the way your customers will interact with your websites, APIs, or mobile apps. This type of testing can provide direct feedback on performance degradation or availability issues. It will also help your team locate the root cause, engage the right experts, and fix the issues before they impact the end users. So let us move on to our next topic, understanding web performance by studying real user behavior patterns. So what is real user monitoring? Real user monitoring refers to capturing users' interactions with the website in real time. This helps you analyze how your end users perceive your website. As businesses go digital and global, their websites are accessed from various devices and from multiple geographies. It's important to provide a consistent user experience across all geographies and their devices. But in reality, the user experience could be impacted by various external factors such as network latency, operational hiccups, trouble retrieving requested resources, and slow ISPs. So, what works in one browser may not work in another. This is where RUM comes in handy. It helps you see why your website is slow in a particular region, identify if you've overlooked any issues with your page load time, find out where and why a user abandoned a page, and etc. All this information enables you to optimize your website performance. To understand why RUM is more essential, we must understand the drawbacks of synthetic transaction monitoring. It does not align with reality. Synthetic transaction monitoring has one major weakness that it does not align always with reality. So, due to the fact that the nature of the traffic used for synthetic testing is not organic but synthetic and isn't truly representative of the real user experience at any given time, its outcome and performance are rather predictable. Because synthetic monitoring uses simulated actions, it does not predict the actions of real life customers. It is also time consuming for incident resolution. When you receive complaints from end users in real time, synthetic monitoring data does not tell you about what the end user was actually doing or experiencing. You would have to painstakingly analyze the performance for every business critical transaction and create scripts for synthetic testing in order to uncover possible issues, and this can sometimes be time consuming. It also has a narrow view of performance. Since synthetic monitoring can't match the rich diversity of performance variables that exist in real world, because you are not monitoring actual users, you are not actually getting any real data on how your product is used in the real world. All you have is simply a narrow view of your application performance. So, how does RUM actually work in Applications Manager? To facilitate the data collection and reporting, RUM's agent is deployed in the server where the application is hosted. Following that, a small JavaScript snippet is generated by applications manager is to be placed in the header or footer part of the HTML code or the web application that you want to track. Upon loading, the JavaScript snippet acts as the code that collects the performance data and constantly transmits it to the RUM agent. The RUM agent communicates between this JS code and the applications manager web client, which visually depicts the captured data. So, real user monitoring and applications manager. With the help of the applications manager's RUM agent, you can analyze the front end performance across several geographies. So, you can proactively analyze how the front end performance of websites varies across different geographies, ISPs, browsers, and devices to ensure a hassle-free digital experience. You can also measure the user satisfaction with the help of aptic scores. You can isolate web transactions that contribute to poor user experiences of the applications. You can gain comprehensive insights into the domain resources and user sessions. You can identify JavaScript errors instantly to prevent user from reporting service errors. And you can also analyze and compare the impact of any new changes made in the site and how it has affected the user experience. Like I mentioned before, you need to install the RUM agent in order to be able to perform real user monitoring with the help of Applications Manager. Let me show you how it looks like in the UI. So, in order to create a new monitor, go to Add New Monitor. But before that, you need to install the RUM agent and specify the API key as mentioned before. So, go to Add New Monitor, and under Add New Monitor, you'll find the Real User Monitor add-on over here. Here you need to give it a display name, specify a website URL, specify the appdex threshold in microseconds. So for example, I will specify it as 20 microseconds. So it will be the baseline against which the response time is measured against. So you can also specify the application framework type, whether it's a single app page application or a traditional application. If you click on single page application, you need not specify the track cross-domain AJAX calls and stuff. So for traditional framework type, you need to specify whether you need to track AJAX calls or track cross-domain AJAX calls. You can also specify the domains to exclude and the user agents to exclude. If you want to track the resource performance, you can check that box. If you want to monitor the availability in idle state, you can do so that as well. And associate it with the RUM agent, which has already been running in your service. Since I've already have a service running, I can associate it with it. So click on Add Monitors, and the monitor will be added. To monitor or to check the monitor, you can go to web server or services, and under services, you will have real user monitor. Here, you will find the list of monitors that have already been added. Click on any one of the, and here you'll have the copy script, which you need to copy and paste it in your web pages HTML. So this script need to be pasted either in the header or the footer section, like I mentioned before. So all these you have to do it before adding the monitor. And after adding the monitor, you'll be able to see the summary of the monitor, wherein you have the world view, you have the appdex scores and the total page views and errors. Here you also have the response time and graph. where you can see the redirection time, DNS time, connection time, service time, first byte time, document download time, page rendering time, document rendering time, and overall response time. You'll also have details regarding the page views, throughput, etc. So if you move on to the geographic tab, you can see the geographic summary of the location with the aptX scores, the average response time, page views, and throughput. For ISP, you will be able to see the response time by ISPs and the details regarding to that ISP, such as average response time, total count, and throughput. Under browser, you will be able to see the response time with regard to the browser that it has been invoked in. So here you have Chrome, Edge, and Firefox, and you also have the browser usage split up and the summary of the same. Under device type, you will be able to monitor the devices on which the web page was invoked in. So you have the response time by device, the device usage split up, the top viewport, connection time, and the device memory. Under web pages, you will be able to monitor the web transactions, such as any transaction made on the website, wherein you have the stats relating to the transactions, like average response time, total count, throughput, and average page size. When you click on a transaction, you will get more details about the transactions, such as the APEX score for each transaction, the summary, the AJAX calls made in the transaction, the throughput, etc. When you click on user sessions, you'll be able to view how many users have actually checked it out. So you also have the total sessions, the average viewing time, and the average pages navigated. Here under user sessions, you will be able to see the user ID, username, the browser name, device name, etc. Under resources, you will be able to monitor the first party and third party resources that have been invoked, and also the CDN resources, wherein you will be able to monitor their average resource size and response time. You can also monitor the Java AJAX calls, where you can monitor their average response time, total count, throughput, average resource size, etc. And also JavaScript errors. So you have the errors versus affected users graph, and also the JavaScript errors, the type of errors, the file, the page in which the error was shown, the browser, and the affected users, which is listed here. So that is it about the RUM and in the UI. So now that we've understood both RUM and synthetic transaction monitoring, let me tell you how they complement each other and provide great benefit when they are employed together for your websites. So correlating business with performance. Synthetic monitoring can provide the performance data that will enable you to pinpoint problems with page load time or network bottlenecks. However, if you want to analyze exactly how web performance impacts your business revenue, then you need more than synthetic performance metrics. Since RUM is generated through real user traffic, it provides essential insight into real business metrics, such as conversion rates, which can then be correlated with continuous performance metrics collected from synthetic testing. You can identify problems before the active users arrive. No matter where applications are hosted, problems are bound to occur. Synthetic monitoring is the most effective solution to identify a configuration problem caused by an off hours maintenance change so that it can be fixed before users begin using your application service in the early morning hours. On the other hand, RUM should be the most helpful tool to measure application responsiveness for each and every live user during the peak hour. Troubleshooting outages. Combining synthetic and RUM data can make troubleshooting quicker and easier. When synthetic tests fail or trigger an alert, the data gathered from RUM will show you the real time impact of user experience. Similarly, if RUM data reveals a performance anomaly, then you can use a synthetic transaction to replicate the issue by exercising the same transaction across a number of ISPs and geographical locations. By collecting this data, it allows you to triangulate from various vantage points to identify the root cause that may lie in the data path between end users and your application service. RUM and synthetic can be used simultaneously to verify and deep dive into performance issues. Let's proceed to the last topic of the day, how you can enhance the web page performance by leveraging our web page analyzer and brand reputation monitor. So what is a web page analyzer and why would you need it? So synthetic transaction monitor and real user monitor gives you insights into the website's performance from an end user's perspective. Applications Manager's web page analyzing monitor service enables you to perform web page analysis, keep track of your web pages, and optimize the web page performance using page speed rules and suggestions. It can help you identify what exactly is showing your websites. Um, so Page Speed and Insights is an online tool which helps in identifying the performance best practices on any given website, and it also provides suggestions on a website's optimization and suggests overall ideas on how to make a website faster. So we also have a waterfall chart. So when a website or a web page renders, it might have various components that constitute the page, the CSS, the JS, images, etc. Web page analyzer tracks the transactions that take place when all these components load. It gives you a visual representation of critical metrics related to each transaction and helps you understand which components load slowly. This way, you can prevent website downtime and slowness and help the website perform optimally. So, web page analyzer in a crux. So, it tracks and provides insights into various key metrics to help you effectively manage your web pages. During each poll, Applications Manager loads the web page in a Firefox browser in a cacheless state and captures real-time data of various performance metrics of the web page. So with the help of a web page analyzer, you can monitor the response time and domain summary. You can also request the tracking with the waterfall chart, and you can also manage or monitor the SSL certificates for their expiry. Let me show you how you can do that. So in order to add a web page analyzer, click on New Monitor and Add New Monitor. Under Web Server Services, add the web page analyzer. Here you need to specify the display name, the web page URL, the page load timeout, and the wait after load in seconds. So you can also specify the HTTP method, whether it's GET or POST. And if you select POST, you need to specify the payload. And if you can also specify the custom HTTP headers. If you have a credential, specify the username and password for that page URL. And you can also specify the domains to block. If you want to add a content check for response, you can do so by checking on this box and specify the contents, whether it should contain a specified content or should not contain a specified content. If you're specifying more than one word, you need to specify it in double quotes. Otherwise, it will check for each individual word in the whole text. You can also do a case-sensitive keyword search. And by enabling the SSL or TLS certificate monitoring, you can also monitor the SSL certificates. You can either monitor it here by checking this box, or you can add a separate SSL certificate monitor by adding it in from the Add Monitor tab. So here you need to specify the domain, the port, the protocol, whether it's the TLS version 1, version 1.1, 1.2, or the version 3. You can also check the box if you need a proxy to connect to the domain, or if you want to ignore the certificate name mismatch error, and also if you want to ignore the invalid root and intermediate certificate. Specify the timeout in seconds and the polling interval. You can test all these credentials, especially this credential, and add the monitor. So after adding the monitor, go to monitors, and under monitors, click on web page analyzer. So here you will get details about the web page, such as web page URL, the load time, the requests, the page size, the days. If you have enabled the SSL certificate expiry monitoring, you'll be able to see the days remaining for the expiration of the SSL certificate. You also get the page score. So under response time summary, you will be able to monitor the DNS time, connection time, the first byte time, the start render, document time, and the page load time. The domain summary gives you a general outlook into what are the domains that have been accessed by the particular URL. So you will have the IP address, the number of requests, size, response time, and throughput. You can also configure alarms for the same by clicking on configure alarms. So here you need to specify the threshold profile. If you've already added a threshold, you can specify it, or you can add a new threshold by clicking on threshold profile and add new threshold profile. So you can configure it, and when you configure it, you'll be able to receive the alarms. So moving on, so under network log tab, you will be able to see all the resources and requests made by the page. So you can filter the content types by the type of the content here. So whether it's HTML or CSS. So if you click on CSS, all the CSS requests will be listed here. So with the help of this filter, you can filter it, and you also you can see the page size of each of these requests, and the status code and the size in KB, and along with their page load time. So the total page size is given here. The size of each element is given here, along with the load time. So here the load time is split up into start time, redirection time, domain lookup time, connection time, secure connection time, network latency time, download time, and blocking time. By hovering on the page load time, you will be able to view these insights. Moving on to resource details, you will be able to see the request summary and also the screenshots, which we previously covered in URL sequence monitor. You can also see the page speed insights, wherein when you click on any of the rules, you'll be able to see the suggestions to improve the rule. So since the score is 100, we have no suggestions. If you click on this one, since it has the score of 46, you will be able to see the suggestions such as compressing the following resources with gzip. So based on whatever rule you specified or whatever request type, it will be able to give you a score and also the suggestions for the same. So that is it about Web Page Analyzer. Let me quickly show you how you can add a set of SSL certificate expiry monitor as well. So here under Web Page Server Services, you'll be able to see the SSL certificate monitor. As I mentioned before, specify all the details and add the monitor. When you add the monitor, you will be able to see it under the monitors SSL certificate monitor. And in SSL certificate, you will be able to view the information such as who it was issued to and who issued the certificate. So here you have the organization name, organization unit, and the common name. You also have the details about the validity of the certificate, and you can also specify and create an alarm for the same. So you have the days to expire here. So in order to create an alarm, you can go to the threshold profile and create an alarm for it. That is it about the SSL certificate expiry monitor. So moving on, uh, a quick recap of today's session. We saw how you can monitor individual URLs for a better user experience, along with how you can monitor a URL sequence as well. In part two, we saw how you can analyze the issues faced in critical workflows. In part three, we saw how you can leverage synthetic transaction monitoring and to go beyond app only view with the help of applications managers, real browser monitor. And in part four, we saw how you can understand real user uh, experiences using real user monitoring. In the final part, we saw how you can optimize your web pages with the help of your real uh, web page analyzer and brand reputation monitor. So this helps you maintain your brand reputation. I'd like to once again thank you all for joining today's session. Have a nice day.